What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the episode of Dad Advice. Now, this is actually the first time I've ever given dad advice, and I do have a couple disclaimers, but at the end of the day, it's advice that your dad would give you, where you're kind of like, that makes sense, but also, you're old, so do I trust you? So as you all know, I don't like spending money on FIFA points. I've never really spent money on FIFA points unless it was for a series, which makes more sense for me because it's kind of like a business if you want to consider it like that. I don't really treat it like one, but in ways I can get the money back from spending FIFA points. For the casual gamer, which is most of you guys, you spend the FIFA points, you use the cards, you try to get something good for that FIFA, but really at the end of the year, it runs out and you can't get any of those cards back. It's almost a sunk cost, like you don't get anything in return other than that experience for that 1 year. And that could be perfectly fine for you guys. I'm not coming here on my high horse saying you guys are so stupid for spending your money how you want it. All I want to do here is kind of provide what I would consider to be good advice. I know some of you guys are older, some of you guys are younger. This is information that if I were young and I were on YouTube, I would have loved to have. As a disclaimer though, anytime you talk about financial advice and investments, you have to disclaim that this is risky. There's risk associated with anything. That's why if you look at any brokerage, it has in the fine print, risk is associated, blah, 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 blah. TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, we will go down and you'll never be able to use our service again. So yes, this is a risky thing, but what I try to provide to you is context about the risk involved. And some of these situations I wouldn't advise necessarily. And some of these situations I would say, yeah, it's not too risky overall. The other thing with investing is at the end of the day, stonks actually do go up. You just might have to wait 50 years. If you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, back in 1980, November 14th, 1980, it was worth $986. What is it worth right now? $29,000. So yes, you might have to wait 40 years. You might have to wait 2 years. You might have to wait 5 seconds. But it'll probably go up in the end as long as you've done your homework and you've invested in something that actually makes sense and is a company that will make money. Now, if you guys know anything about FIFA, you know that FIFA points are pretty much a scam. For 2,000 FIFA points, which is the equivalent, I believe, of one 100K pack, so one Ilkay Gundogan, that's $20. I don't know about you guys, but $20 is that's a lot of money. Like, think of all the things that you could actually buy. Think of all the food you could get. Think of how many chicken wings you could buy and consume with that $20 instead of getting Borja Valero. Now, I don't do this, but I know some people do. And yet again, I'm not trying to shame you. If you want to do this, it's your money at the end of the day. I am just saying, some people every FIFA on the release date, FIFA comes, they buy the game, they spend the $60 or $100, whatever's required to actually get the physical game. And then on top of that, they spend $900, $940 to get to the amount of FIFA points that they want. In my example, I'm using little Jimmy over here. Now, little Jimmy really loves FIFA. His favorite player is Lionel Messi. So he buys FIFA on release day every single time, spends $100 to get that Ultimate Edition because you get the extra packs. Little Jimmy also has a credit card thieving business, so he steals his mom's credit card and then charges $900 to get FIFA points because he knows Lionel Messi will solve all the world's problems. But what if, instead of doing that, little Jimmy spent that $1,000 every year, every FIFA release date, on ownership of a company, or on investing, or just owning noobs in general? So that's what I'm kind of bringing to you today as this use case of my stonks spreadsheet that I was working on this morning because I was bored. I've taken 5, entities. Some are companies, some are ETFs, some is just cryptocurrency, and then one is, a thing. And instead of spending the $1,000 trying to get FIFA and trying to get Messi or Ronaldo, let's give you something in return that 5 years in the future will hopefully be worth even more. So you can see here on my spreadsheet, every release date up here corresponds to a release date of the new FIFA. So 9/18/2014, that was the day FIFA 15 was released. And we're going all the way up to FIFA 21, which is October 5th, 2020. In this left-hand part, I have whatever I'm owning. So KO, if you don't know, that's the stock symbol for Coca-Cola. And then we'll look at everything else here listed, like the price per date, the amount of stock you would have owned, assuming $1,000 is spent, your total invested amount, and we'll look at the end of the day, how much money you have now. Still, let's start with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is what I would consider a pretty safe investment. It doesn't change too much. It has gone down a little bit over the years because of people moving away from Coca-Cola. If you don't necessarily see a future of soda, maybe Coca-Cola is not the best investment for you. You have to do this research and this thinking on your own. I'm just presenting something that kind of is safe, gives you a dividend. If you own it, they give you money on top of the hoping that it appreciates as an asset. And yeah, let's look at how much you would have made. You can see the prices for the different dates, as I mentioned, the amount of stock you own. So it has gone down, like it was $41.75 in 2014. It went all the way down to $38, but everything is appreciated. And I also will say the last 10 years or so, most things have appreciated. You could have thrown your money at pretty much any stock that wasn't like a penny stock, and you almost certainly would have made some returns. But I have this chart here that's pretty helpful. So October 5th, 2020, at the end of this, you would have invested $7,000, $1,000 for each year. You would have owned 156 shares of Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola, as of 11/14/2020, was worth $53.45 per share. So if you do your math of just multiplying those two cells together, you get $8,349, meaning that's how much you own. And if you compare that with the initial investment of $7,000, you are in the green. You've made $1,349. That's pretty good. The other thing to consider is we're comparing this to little Jimmy who just spends it on FIFA points. So it's not just plus $1,349. This is plus $1,349 in comparison to minus $7,000. So that's an opportunity cost, or however you want to look at it, of $8,349. Pretty huge. But as I said, Coca-Cola, while it is safe and it's a pretty decent overall return and you get a dividend, there are other things that you can look at. So let's look at something called an ETF. For those of you who aren't really too familiar, an ETF is just a conglomerate of stocks and companies. So the one we're looking at is called SPY, the S&P 500. This is a way of owning things like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, without having to buy the amount. So for example, Amazon's $3,000 a share. Instead of owning, like saving all your money up to just get one share of Amazon, you can just get some SPY instead. You won't own as much Amazon. It won't correlate exactly with Amazon's movements, but it will to some extent. So SPY is kind of popular because of Wall Street bets. So it's sort of a little bit riskier than I would have said in the past. And there are other ETFs that are safer, but it depends upon how much risk you want. The riskier things are, the more money you could make. The riskier things are, the more money you could lose. So it's personal preference. Same sort of deal here, though. You would have spent the $1,000 every FIFA release from 2014 up to 2020. At the end of the day, still spending that $7,000 because it's $1,000 each year. You own 28 shares of SPY. SPY, as of yesterday, which is 11/13/2020, is worth $358.10. That means that you would own $10,225.33. If you do the math, you have a profit of $3,225.33. Now, the key to all of this, and the only reason this works, is because this is long-term investing. As I showed with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as long as you hold for a long time, the price will almost certainly go up. If the price of SPY drops to $5 a share, that means we have huge problems. That means Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, pretty much any major company has just died. So you could look at this and you could say, this is terrible advice. SPY is so overpriced. Just 8 months ago, it was at $218. So you would have been negative. You would have lost money. That's true, but also at a certain point, SPY will go up. You could make the decision, $3,225 today. That's good enough for me. Let me close out of that account. Then you just have to start the process over again. It depends on how long you want to invest and how long you want to hold. This is why they always say to buy the dip, because if you buy the dip, that means you're getting it on sale. I don't want to get too much into when should you buy, what should you buy, because I'm not a financial expert, as I mentioned. But this is just some core investing knowledge that they don't really teach you in school that I think they should, and I want to share it with some of you to maybe spark an interest, and you can go find other people who are way smarter than I am, and they can give you better financial advice. Okay, now we've looked at two examples that I would consider to be pretty safe. You get a return. It's not something special. $3,000 could be life-changing depending on your situation, but for the average person, let's say making $50,000 a year, it's nice. It's a nice bonus. But say you want to go on a rocket ship because you're tired of Lionel Messi's little rocket ship and you want a real one. This doesn't really make sense because there's a company called SpaceX, which is actually the rocket ship company, but let's look at Tesla. Same sort of deal. Now, Tesla did go through a stock split, which is why I wrote split here, because they were at one point this year, like a few months ago, $2,000, but then for every share, you ended up getting 4 shares or something like that. So these are prices considering that stock split. If you were in a time machine on September 18th, 2014, the price was not 52.67. That's just what Yahoo Finance listed. Anyway, considering all that in a vacuum, we're like in the math problem where the guy has 5,000 oranges and then he has a lemonade stand for some reason. After your 7 years of not spending FIFA points and instead using it on something a little bit wiser, depends upon your situation, you would have still spent the $7,000. You would have owned 118 shares of Tesla, and Tesla, as of yesterday, is worth $408.50 per share. This is going to be big. Meaning, if you do the math, you have $48,337.98 worth of Tesla. If you subtract your initial investment of the $7,000, you've profited $41,337.98, which is huge. Little Jimmy can now own a Model S. I don't actually think that's true, but let's just pretend for the sake of little Jimmy. I think you kind of get the example, but I want to go one step further. Tesla, an anomaly. On a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how likely is this to happen again, I would probably put it as like a 9. Not going to happen again. But anyway, just for the fun of it, let's go back in our time machines and pretend that we can just pick at the bottom and sell at the top, which you're never going to do. Let's look at Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has gone through its fair share of ups and downs over the past several years. Let's look at September 18th, 2014. It was only $424.10 per Bitcoin, which is kind of ridiculous. It actually went down in 2015, $226.97. And now it's worth close to $16,000. So at the end of October 5th, 2020, you would have still spent your $7,000. You would have 9 total Bitcoin, a little bit more than that. And Bitcoin is worth $15,861 per Bitcoin, meaning you now own $142,952 worth. Subtract your $7,000. You've profited $135,952.25. Compare this to those Pokemon cards that Logan Paul wants you to buy. Now, I know some of you guys are going to be in the pro Bitcoin rank, and I'm not saying that there's actually anything wrong with that. Like, some guys are going to say, 15,000 is cheap, get it now, it's going to 150,000. I'm not going to say yes or no. All I'm going to say is compare that to something like SPY or Coca-Cola. It seems a little bit riskier to me, so I'm not going to say to do it or not. Do what you want. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse because I think you guys get it. There are other options out there. I'm not even going into, like, you could have spent the time and the money on other stuff. There's an opportunity cost to everything, and really it's a time and money sink if you consider what FIFA is. There's nothing wrong with playing it casually, but if you're coupling FIFA points and also weekend league amount of time played, you could like become fluent in a new language if you spent all those hours playing the weekend league on like just talking to someone in a different language. You could do something way cooler. And I know I said I wouldn't beat a dead horse, but we've looked at a lot of different companies and stocks and cryptocurrencies, but you know what would be hilarious? What if instead of giving EA money in return for no ownership, you gave EA money in return for some ownership, so you could actually own EA in 2 ways, physically and spiritually. So for our final example, let's look at owning EA. Now, this is not the same as owning EA Sports, which is specific for FIFA and Madden and NHL. This is EA as a whole, because you can only own that. So it includes things like DICE and it includes EA to make Sims, but you're still owning EA, so that's what everyone wants. Now, EA has, like everything else, appreciated. So looking at these numbers, $36.49 a share back in September 18th, 2014, all the way up now, October 5th, 2020, $130.09. So it's gone up considerably. Still, spend your $7,000 at the end of October 5th, 2020. You own 88 shares of EA Sports, worth $120.80 as of yesterday, meaning you own $10,705.46. You've profited $3,000, almost $4,000 off of EA, compared to, this is a very good example, compared to the negative $7,000 that would have happened if you just spent FIFA points. I mean, this is money that you spend money on the FIFA points, and then it just goes to people who bought EA instead. Anyway, I hope this video made sense, and I know it's a weird departure from normal FIFA reviews, but I wanted to do something else. You know, I've mainly been considering money here in terms of getting more money, but time is a huge thing, and sometimes you don't want to play weekend league. Sometimes the red pick isn't really worth the squeeze. Sometimes you want to do some other types of videos, have some other types of fun on your weekend, and for me, this is kind of fun, just imagining money. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want other videos like this, just let me know. I don't really know how else I could turn this into like a money channel, but money has always been something that interests me. It's why I've always kind of been hesitant to buy FIFA points. It's what drew me to Ultimate Team in the first place because I like markets. I studied economics. It's kind of what I just do. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Don't forget to spay your pets.